Now, if you're about to learn to handstand, or if you're already on your journey towards the handstand progressions, this is going to be really useful to show you the pathway or the stepping stones to get to each level. Now, it's going to be very different for each individual, but roughly, most people follow this sort of progression line. Now, we'll be putting up a more detailed version of this on my app, and it's going to help people pick which level or program they should be working on. So I'll show the levels on this line of progression, and then you can pick the best program that fits you. So the beginner's going to be working on some sort of arm balance to start with, keep it nice and low, but something that they can explore balance in a nice safe environment. So something like a crow works really well. Forearm headstand are also options. And then if you're a bit stronger, a bit more confident, you might start to walk up the wall with that as well. But this is where we really need to start to get that understanding of the base and how important it is to control the handstand with the hands, the shoulders, and the focal point. So I can move my legs around all over the place, but you see the base is controlling me and making sure that I don't fall down. So see the elbows are bending, my shoulders are going forwards and backwards. Now that's exactly the same in the crow froggy position. See the shoulders and the arms are controlling, the hips and legs are in the right position, but they're doing as they're told. And that's super important to learn to handstand and get really good control. So laying down those foundations early in that crow, arm balance, set up for the kick up, so making sure that our hands are on the floor, our shoulders are directly on top, our focal point is all fixed, and then we just learn to kick with a consistent base, and then you can go to the wall or you can eventually go to freestanding, but see how that base is controlling everything. It's super stable and it's going to make everything much easier. We can then progress to our conditioning hold, so going up closer to the wall in that chest to wall position. Initially, to start with, you might be a bit further away from the wall. The most important thing is we're not collapsing against the wall. We're holding a positive position. We don't want to be sagging into the wall or struggling to get on or off. And then just slowly increasing that time, getting to the point where you can hold 60 seconds plus comfortably. Now, while you're working on refining these things and building that conditioning, you can start to integrate the heel pulls. So learning to balance with the overbalance. Now, overbalance means this. We're falling forwards. It's this in a handstand, so stopping myself going that direction. So that's where we kick to the wall and we learn to pull off, pushing with our fingertips, but also elevating, making the body one segment that lengthens towards the handstand. It doesn't just pull in this direction. And we definitely don't want to be kicking off the wall or stepping off the wall. It wants to be a push up, a push through the fingers to a handstand and back again. Push up and away through the fingers and back again. Now this one might take a while to get used to get the technique correct. It's going to take a lot of repetitions. And first you want to be focusing on repetitions and then changing to holds. Holds is where we pull from the wall, hold for a few seconds, go back to the wall of control, and then we slowly increase that hold time. Then the scary version for a lot of people. Now you might ideally introduce these at the same time, but if you don't have the confidence to do the toe pull or you're not into a strong chest to wall position yet, you're not going to be able to do it. And you might need someone here to spot you and just give you that confidence that you're not going to fall on your back. And again, making sure that we're pulling from the wall, using the base, using the shoulders till the toes come off. We push up to handstand and we go back again. Now this one's going to take time. What we don't want to do is hips and flick the legs, because that's going to take you over 9.9 times out of 10. Using the shoulders to pull, first again for repetitions, and then eventually for hold time. On top of those, I would normally be introducing jumps or playing with some sort of jump variation. We do have the tuck, the straddle, the pike, the kneeling variation, and again, creating a strong base and jumping through the pathway on top of the base. So hands, shoulders, focal point, and then the hips jump on top of the shoulders. So all the energy is going up, not over. Exactly the same with our kick-ups. We don't want to be doing this and going in that direction. We want to plant the base down first, kick up on top of the base. There's an annoying fly. Then we have wall balance. Now, why is wall balance different to toe pulls and heel pulls? This is where we start to think about using both of those components, the overbalance and the underbalance. I'm gonna have to spray the camera or something. There's too many flies around it. And hopefully I haven't messed the lens up doing that. So where was I? I was talking about doing the overbalance and the underbalance and making it one thing. So it's like I can go this way and I can control it this way, the underbalance and the overbalance. Exactly the same in the handstand. What happens if I go towards underbalance? What happens if I go towards overbalance? Can I survive and bring it back to the middle. And that's what we want to think about when we start doing the wall balance, once we understand that over and under balance. So it could be done this way. So now I'm practicing balancing into the handstand, going over a little bit too far, going backwards. And it could be done the other way, which is a little bit easier to start with for most people because it's not so scary. And now I can play with the under balance and the over balance. And I can do that by stepping in. So doing a split leg variation. I could go further away from the wall and have a bigger split. But the idea is now I'm balancing, but I do have the wall if I need to pull from, whether it's both feet or 1 foot. But I'm using that technique we learn in that overbalance and that underbalance. And then at some point we definitely need to start to integrate the straddle and the tuck drills. Now sometimes it's good to integrate the mobility of the tuck really early on and start to build that strength and conditioning around the upper back. And that all depends on how strong you are on the chest tool handstand. But somewhere here I'll be introducing the shapes, the straddle, the tuck, and obviously you're already doing the straight. Now obviously the main goal with the straddle and the tuck is to get them to be freestanding, nice and strong. Actually, let's show you my horrible tuck from the side. I say horrible because it needs a lot of mobility and my shoulders and hips aren't the happiest. But basically we want to get into something like that. So the tuck position is part of the torso. We don't want to have it sitting on top and disconnected. We want to have it connected. But the main thing to start with is learning those positions against the wall. Normally that will be done chest to wall and back to wall, and I have separate videos on all of those movements. But I'll be introducing them somewhere here. And then depending on your progressions and how confident you are with the wall balance, you'll start to go into the freestanding handstand in the middle of the room, in the middle of the garden, and just slowly build that. And it's something that I would start to play with as soon as possible, but might not put it in the program straight away. The risk of doing this too much and just kicking up 1,000 times in the middle of the room and not being able to get up. So doing this for half, oh, I lost my chewing gum. Half your session is not very productive, and in some ways it might be actually teaching you to fall and creating bad habits. So I would normally have all of this as your main working sets and then just have a little bit of play with the freestanding. But obviously slowly this is going to increase to be part of the program, and to the point where you're starting to hold for time, whether that's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and ideally most of that will be done in the middle of the room. But you might need to integrate those wall drills to make sure that you're training good quality sets. Now I'd highly recommend when you're working handstand balance that you're also working handstand strength. And as soon as possible, I'd be starting to work progressions towards press handstand and handstand push up. However, that is going to be dependent on your level. Your press handstand work and your handstand push up work might be beginner calisthenics strength exercises like planche leans, like scapular push ups, hangs, learning to do dips, chin-ups and things like that. They're all progressions towards these movements. But as you get around here somewhere, I'd highly recommend that you actually make it quite specific, and if you have the strength and conditioning already, we really start to hit those press and handstand push-up variations, because that's really going to make your handstand super strong and have loads of room for error. Now transitions is talking about going between the shapes. So between our straight position, our straddle position, our tuck position, we can go into diamonds, we can go into staggy positions, we can go into split positions, and it's just starting to work all of those things together into transitions. Now normally you might go straight to straddle, up and down, using the wall. You might go to straight to tuck for repetitions, again using the wall. Then you could look at doing straddle to tuck and just mixing it around like I did there. Lots of progressions in itself and lots of options and levels. Head position is something we want to start thinking about. Again, it makes the handstand super, super strong. So that's starting to think about where I'm looking in a handstand. So 99.9% of the time, we're looking here. That does not change. Whether I'm in straddle, whether I'm in tuck, it just glued in the whole time. However, we also need to be working, looking down, looking away, looking up towards our toes, and back down again, and even closing our eyes in that position. Whoop. So having the ability to do those, again, creates a massive window of balance, gives you lots of options. Mexican and Scorpion, definitely something to work on, and it's a real fun way of opening up in towards extension. And that just basically means we move the feet in one direction and something else goes in the opposite direction to compensate. So if I do that with my feet, I open up in towards that open back position for that Scorpion position,
And then, sorry, not scorpion, the Mexican position. So Mexican hollow is more that, and scorpion, which I'm not great at because my extension flexibility is not fantastic, but scorpion is more looking down towards the floor, trying to get the toes somewhere towards the head. Mine isn't. Now there's a few more options where we can go into pike positions, 7 and things like that. So that's keeping the legs straight and coming down. Now these are way more progressed positions. Something like that. Again, I need to warm up a lot to get deeper in that position. But another great progression that is on from that tuck position. It's basically like a tuck, but with straight legs. Now we have movements that's more seen to take you towards the one-arm handstand. Now, even if your goal isn't a one-arm handstand, I'd highly recommend you play with blocks, canes, flags, boxes, raised handstands. It doesn't have to be super high, but something around this height is really good because it means that you can work deficit handstand push-ups, other transitions like from shoulder stand through to L-sit, bent arm press handstands and things like that, and you'll have the confidence to balance in those positions. So if your goals change, you can take it in any direction. And most people, when they start to get down this end, they're going to be interested in the one-arm handstand. Now blocks are down to preference. You can make them out of pieces of wood. These are nice round ones from Handstand Movement in the UK. Flags is just talking about going side to side. Now it can be a straighter position and going over to one side, like so. But normally when you're learning, it's going to be straddle positions and getting comfortable for going sideways. Then for your one-arm progressions, fingertips, finger tip, and then eventually take the hand up. Again, I have separate videos on learning those. So this is super advanced, this is super beginner, and there's progressions all the way through. Lots of other things that I haven't added in here, but these are definitely the main ones. Now, if you do need help with your handstands and calisthenics, check out my app. I have programs for all these things, plus all the handstand strength exercises you can find. Link down in the description. You also get access to the Discord where you can ask me questions and send videos directly. Or if you want something very detailed and very individualized, you can contact me for online coaching or check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. Drop any questions down below and I'll speak to you in the next one.